Alright, Shalom, I'm going to open the feast now, yeah? We're going to start by blowing the trumpet first. La Yasha'Allah.
La Yasha'Allah.
Right, everyone, I might have stand and rise and face these.
So first we're going to read the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew and then in the English. So we're going to start off in the Hebrew. Abba Nawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kadash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakavka, Baba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, I.S.U.P.K, Ba'arataza, Kawal, Hayah, Bashemayim, the Funlinawa, the Cow, Yawam, Wasalakinawa, Kawabafinawa, Wasalakinawa, Kawafinawa, Babi Ainawa, Banasaya 1, Hawashainawa, Mayan, Right, Kaya, Haka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Iwalamyam,
Amen. And in the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven, give us this day, our daily bread, and forgive us our debt, as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
And in the Hebrew, we're going to read the Hakah, the power. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, Babakusha, Funlinawa, Haka, Larpa'ah, Kalmakala, Kalmadawa, Haka, Lataha, Hamatazarayim, Haka, Lahakwiyam, Hamafiam, Haka, Arakawaf, Hatama'ala, Wagarishan, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, for water,
Amen. And in the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahawashi, please give us the power, the power to heal, all manner of sickness, and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, in the name of Yahawashi, thank you, so be it.
And this is Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Alright, this is the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatha Yahweh, Yahawashi, Wama Yaka'ala, Wa Alahayam, Matazabi'ah, Alawak Yahanna, Ha Alawapyam, Ha Suranyam, Ha Kotazayanyam, Ha Kalayalyam, Wa Akwafyam, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, water.
Amen. And in the English, bless you, Yahweh, and Yahawashi, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahanna, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters, Yahweh, in the name of Yahawashi, thank you, so be it.
This is Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Al-Hahayam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'ah, Isaiah, Ma'ayin, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Ba'arataza, Al-Yafan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shemaka, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashan, Shawamah, Yasha'Allah, Yahweh, Shemaka, Yahweh, Tazalta, Al-Yad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'ah, Yakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamaka,
Yashamaka,
Makalrai,
Makalrai,
Yashama,
Yashama,
Afnapashka,
Afnapashka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashama,
Yashama,
Taza Afka,
Taza Afka,
Baba wa Aka,
Baba Aika,
Ma'aifa,
Ma'aika,
I will love.
I will love. Oh man. And in the English, I will lift up mine eyes.
I will lift up my eyes
unto the hills.
unto the hills.
From whence cometh my help?
From whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh.
My help cometh from Yahweh,
Which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee will not slumber.
He that keepeth thee will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Israel
he that keepeth Israel
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is the shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is the shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee
Yahweh shall preserve thee
from all evil.
from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in
and thy coming in
from this time forth,
from this time forth,
and even forevermore.
even forevermore.
So be it.
So be it. And this is Psalms, the 8th chapter in the Hebrew. Al-Hayam,
Alahayim,
Al-Damayalaka,
Al-Damayalaka,
Al-Fakarash,
Al-Fakarash,
Wa'al,
Wa'al,
Washakwat,
Sashakwat,
Al,
Al,
Kayahana,
Kayahana,
Awayabyaka,
Awadyaka,
Yahama,
Yahama,
Yawan,
Yawan,
Ra'ash,
Ra'ash,
Al-Amaka,
Al-Amaka,
Ya'ir Yamwa,
Ya'ir Yamwa,
Sawadah,
Sawadah,
Wayafa,
Wayatha,
Ya'ai Tazawa,
Wa'ai Tazawa,
Al-Taza Wadyaka,
Al-Tazapawanka,
Amawa,
Amawa,
Lakawa,
Lakawa,
Wanakakadam,
Wanyakakidam,
Magaya,
Magaya,
Wala'a,
Wala'a,
Yazaka,
Yazaka,
Sham Yasha Allah,
Sham Yasha Allah,
Iwada,
Iwada,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Nawa Aitazawa,
Wa'ai Tazawa,
Yaba,
Yaba,
Yaka Adwa,
Yaka Adwa,
Al Yaka,
Al-Yaka,
Baya,
Baya,
Yaka Rakwa,
Yakaratwa,
Ahalia,
Ahalya,
Adawam,
Adawam,
Baya Shamai,
Wayashamai,
Alayam,
Alayam,
Mawa Abba,
Mawa Abba,
Wahagayam,
Wahagayam,
Gabal,
Gabal,
Wa'aimawan,
Wa'aimawan,
Wa'aimalak,
Wa'aimalak,
Palashaf,
Palashaf,
Yashabya,
Yashabya,
Tazawa,
Tazawa,
Dam Ashawa,
Glam Ashawa,
Nalawa,
Nalawa,
Aiman,
Ayman,
Hayawa,
Hayawa,
Zarawai,
Zarawai,
Labanya Lawat,
Labanya Lawat,
Salah,
Salah,
Aisha Laham,
Aishalahum,
Kamadyan,
Kamadyan,
Kasaya,
Kasiyah,
Sara'ah,
Sara'ah,
Kayabyan,
Kayabyan,
Banaka'al,
Banakal,
Payash,
Payash,
Wan,
Wan,
Nashamadwa,
Nashamadwa,
Ayan,
Ayan,
Ara,
Aya,
Hayawa,
Hayawa,
Aman,
Kaman,
La Adama,
Adama,
Shayafatwa,
Shayatamba,
Nada,
Najah,
Yab,
Yab,
Mawa,
Mawa,
Ka'irab,
Ka'ira,
Wakaza'aba,
Wakaza'aba,
Wakazaba,
Wakazaba,
Wakatizal,
Wakatazal,
Manai,
Manai,
Kal,
Kal,
Nasayak, Amwa,
Nasay Kamwa,
Ashah,
Ashah,
Amawa,
Amawa,
Nair Shah,
Nair Shah,
Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Af, Na'awaf,
Na'awa,
Alahayam,
Alahaya,
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 Shayafamwa,
Shayatamba,
Kagalgala,
Kagalgala,
Kakwash,
Kakwash,
Lapanya, Rakal,
Lapanya Baka,
Ka'ash,
Ka'ash,
Faba Ira,
Saba Ira,
Ya'ira,
Ya'ira,
Wa,
Wa,
Kalahaba,
Kalahaba,
Falaha,
Falahat,
Harayam,
Harayam,
Khan,
Khan,
Faradakma,
Naradakma,
Basa Iraka,
Basa Iraka,
Wabasa,
Babazar,
Wapaka,
Wapaka,
Fabahalam,
Sabalaham,
Mala'a,
Mala'a,
Panyaham,
Panyaham,
Palawan,
Palawan,
Waya,
Waya,
Wakashwa,
Wakwashwa,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Yabashwa,
Yabashwa,
Waya,
Haya,
Yahalwa,
Yahawa,
Aja'ai,
Aya,
Waya,
Waya,
Ka'apawa,
Kapawa,
Waya,
Waya,
Abadwa,
Abadwa,
Waya,
Aya,
the Iwa,
Aiwa,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Afa,
Atha,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Labadka,
the Badka,
Al Yawan,
Al Yuwan,
Al Kalha,
Alkaha,
Aratiza,
Aratiza.
Oh man.
Oh man. And in
Psalm
the
83.
English, in the English, Psalm 83. Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh,
And hold not thy peace.
and hold not thy peace,
And be not still, Yahweh.
and be not still, Yahweh.
For lo,
For lo,
thine enemies make it to most.
thine enemies make it to tumult,
And they that hate thee
and they that hate thee
have lifted up the head.
have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel
They have taken crafty counsel
against thy people.
against thy people,
And have consulted
and have consulted
against thy hidden ones.
against thy hidden ones.
They have said,
They have said,
Come, and let us cut them off.
and let us cut them off
From being a nation.
from being a nation,
That the name of Israel
that the name of Israel
may be no more
Make it no more
in remembrance.
in remembrance.
They have consulted together.
They have consulted together
With one consent.
with one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee.
The Tabernacles of Eden.
The Tabernacles of Eden
And the Ishmaelites.
and the Ishmaelites
Of Moab.
and
the Hagarenes.
and the Hagarenes,
Gabor and Ammon.
Gabor and Ammon
And Amalek.
and Amalek,
The Philistines.
the Philistines,
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
Asher also joined with them.
Asher also is joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah. Do unto them.
Do unto them
As unto the Midianites.
as unto the Midianites,
As to Sisera.
as to Sisera,
As to Jabin.
as to Jabin,
And the book of Kisan.
and the brook of Kisan,
Which perished at
which
Endor.
perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles
Make their nobles
like Oreb.
like Oreb
And like Zayeb.
and like Zayeb.
Yea.
Yea,
All their princes.
all their princes
As the Bar.
as the Baal
And as Zalmunah.
and the Zalmunah,
Who said.
who said,
Let us take to ourselves.
let us take to ourselves
The houses of God.
the houses of God
In possession.
in possession.
Yahweh.
Yahweh,
Made them like a wheel.
make them like a wheel,
As a stove before the wind.
as a stubble before the wind,
As a fire burneth the wood.
as a fire burneth the wood,
As the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
as a flame sets the mountains on fire.
So persecute them.
So persecute them
Who died tempest.
who thy tempest,
And made them afraid with thy storm.
and make them afraid with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame,
That they may seek thy name.
that they may seek thy name.
Yahweh.
Yahweh,
Let them be confounded.
let them be confounded
And troubled forever.
and troubled forever.
Yea.
Yea,
Let them be put to shame.
let them be put to shame
And perish.
and perish,
That men may know.
that men may know
That thou.
that thou,
Whose name alone.
whose name alone
Is Yahweh.
is Yahweh,
Art the most high.
art the most high
Over all the earth.
over all the earth.
So be it.
So be it.
The curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth,
And all things living.
and all things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh,
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
in the name of Yahweh Shai,
Listen to us now.
listen to us now,
Right now.
right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses,
And punishment and destruction.
and punishment and destruction
To the heathen.
to the heathen
That speak against us.
that speak against us,
Thy prophets.
thy prophets,
The teachers.
the teachers,
The princes.
the princes,
The priests.
the priests,
The Israelite brothers.
the Israelite brothers,
And the school.
and the schools,
Send evils and curses.
send evils and curses,
And punishment and destruction.
and punishment and destruction
To the heathen.
to the heathen,
And shake loose.
and shake loose
The treasures.
the treasures
Of the rich of Israel.
of the rich of Israel
That refuse.
that refuse
To give to the school.
to give to the school,
Force their riches.
force their riches,
To enter into thy sanctuary.
enter into thy sanctuary,
Send evils and curses.
send evils and curses,
And punishment and destruction.
and punishment and destruction
To the Edomites.
to the Edomites
And the nations.
and the nations
And their drug
and
dealers.
their drug dealers,
The court system.
the court system,
The prison system.
the prison system,
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood,
All the governments of our enemies.
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Amalek synagogues and armies,
The Roman Catholic Church.
the Roman Catholic Church,
The Pope.
the Pope,
Islam.
Islam,
Christianity.
Christianity,
Egyptology.
Egyptology,
Militia.
militia,
Ku Klux Klan.
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation.
Aryan Nation,
Skinheads.
Skinheads,
Pastor
Comatasi,
The gay movement.
Gay movement,
The lesbian movement.
lesbian movement,
Spies.
spies,
Workers of witchcraft.
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space program.
NASA space program,
Army.
Army,
Navy.
Navy,
Air Force.
Air Force,
Marines.
Marines,
Wall Street.
Wall Street,
Open up the internet.
open up the internet
And the airways.
and the airways,
The cable access channels.
the cable access channels,
And the radio channels.
and the radio channels,
Convict the spirit.
convict the spirit
Of any of thy people.
of any of thy people
That seek to stop
that
us.
seek to stop us
And bring swift destruction.
and bring swift destruction
To all the heathen.
to all the heathen
That stand in the way.
that stand in the way
Or try to stop us.
or try to stop us
From broadcasting your
from
words.
broadcasting your words
Throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues.
Let loose all the plagues,
Cause them to go to and fro.
cause them to go to and fro
Through the earth and consume them.
through the earth and consume them.
Let the plagues
Let the plagues
shake the house of the thief.
shake the house of the thief
And the murderer.
and the murderer.
Let Yahweh shine.
Let Yahweh shine.
Michael and Gabriel.
Michael and Gabriel
Come down with the flying saucers.
come down with the flying saucers
And punish all the heathen.
and punish all the heathen
That come up against us.
that come up against us
As we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known by all.
Cause it to be known by all.
That it is the angels that have done it.
That is the angels that have done it.
Cause it to be spread through the media.
Cause it to be spread through the media
Throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
Cause it to shake at thy coming.
In the name of Yahweh shine.
In the name of Yahweh shine.
Thank you always.
Thank you always.
So be it.
So be it.
Hello, man. Yes. Is everyone take a seat, yeah? The seat now.
All right, this is the closing of what the Feast of Tabernacles. So we read out the law. Now, the Sabbath service, you meant to what? Read out of the law. So this is one of the Lord's feasts. So all the Lord's feasts is found where? In Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. So this is why on the feast days we read out the law, and we read out of the Lord's feast days, we read it in the Hebrew and the English. The reason why we read it in the Hebrew is because what? It's our culture, and we spoke Hebrew. So if we don't learn our culture, what's going to happen is 100 years down the line, we're going to forget who we are. We're not going to have no culture. We're going to be doing what the rest of the world does. So this is why we read in the Hebrew and the English. So we read it because that's our culture, and it's our culture to what? Read out of the law on the Sabbath. And this is why we do it, so we can preserve, which was passed down to us. We can preserve and do it how the Lord wants us to do it. Because if we stop doing this, what's going to happen is what? The next generation of us is going to be what? All Christian, all of this would be forgotten of. We ain't never going to keep the Lord's feast days. We would never keep his higher holy days and so forth. And this is why we read out of the law on the feast days and on the Sabbath, which is what? Saturday, Friday, sundown. Go ahead when you're ready.
Leviticus 23:1 in the Hebrew.
So this is Leviticus chapter 23:1 in the Hebrew. So also there's apps on. Obviously, everyone's got a smartphone. So what's the app called? Because this is probably the best one for it.
The one I got is called Hebrew and Greek Bible English. It's
called Hebrew and Greek Bible English. So you can download that to your phone, and it gives you it in the Hebrew. And then also in the UPK, we also teach Hebrew, which is Friday night, midnight. So you can go type in I.S.U.P.K online classes or through Facebook, and you will see the Hebrew class on the Friday. Or you can just go on YouTube and you type in I.S.U.P.K Hebrew class, and the language will come up. So it will come up with the Hebrew letters, and then you will learn how to read it. Because in Hebrew, we read what? Right to left. So you read it backwards, whereas English, you read it this way. Go ahead. So yeah, that's how you read it. Whereas in English, we read what? From the front. In Hebrew, you read from the back first. So logging into them Hebrew classes, it will help you understand a few words in Hebrew. You probably won't be fluent in it, but you'll understand a few words, and you'll understand the alphabet when you see it. Whereas obviously this systems, they've taught us to learn their alphabet, which is A, B, C, D, whatever. Hebrew, there's only what, like 16 letters, right? Is it about 20? About 20. So yeah, it's a lot easier than English. Go ahead. And it's a lot easier than you think it is. So it's very important to log into the Hebrew class, because that's the closest to what our classes is basically your language, what we were speaking before slavery. So before slavery, that's what we were speaking Hebrew. Whereas every other nation on the face of the earth, what? A man from Pakistan still knows how to speak Punjabi or Urdu. When he's at home with his parents, they speak their language. An African man does what? When he's at home with his family, he speaks his language. Chinese man, when they're at home, they speak their language. Whereas with us, we speak English everywhere we go, because we don't know what our culture is. We don't know what our language is. And this is why it's very important that to get in the I.S.U.P.K and learn these things, man. Go ahead.
ويا دبا يهوى أو شما لا ما دبا أو بنيا يشألا أما يا على هيم ما وعيد يا يهوى أشا تقوى رأوا ثيم تقدم ما قرآيا قداش على يا هم ما وعيد يا ششا يم يم ثعيشا ملأكا ثبآيا وام وشا بيا آيا شباب Shabbat one. Makora, Kodash, Kal, Mala'aka, La'a, Tha'aishawa, Shabbat, Ha'awa, La Yahawa, Bakal, Mawashab, Thayakam. Verse 4. Allah, Mawa'ida Ya Yahawa, Makwara'a, Kodash, Asha, Thakara'a, Atham, Bamawa'idam. Verse 5, Bakadash, Thara Ashwan, Ba'ai, Aisha, Lakadash, Bayan, Tha'ai Rabadyan, Pasak, La Yahawa, Wabak Masha, Aisha, Yawam, Lakadash, Hazar, Kaga, Hamatazawa, La Yahawa, Shaba'aitha, Mayam, Matzawaf, Ha'akawa, Verse 7, Bayam, Hara Ashwan, Makura'ah, Quadash, Yahaya, Lakam, Kal, Makalaf, Ayadabah, La'ah, Tha'ai, Shawah.
And that's the 7 verses in the Hebrew. So now the brother's going to read what? 7 verses in the English. Go ahead.
So Leviticus 23:1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel.
So everyone knows, we the children of Israel. So the Lord was telling Moses to speak unto us. It didn't say speak unto the whole world. It said speak unto the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord.
It says, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord. So now here, it's going to let you know where all the Lord's feasts are. Go ahead.
Which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations.
And it says, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Now the word holy means separate, and convocation is what? When you come together. So this is, we went to come together on the Lord's holy convocations, his feast days. Go ahead.
Even these are my feasts.
Even what?
These are my feasts.
So all these in this chapter is his feast. Now in this chapter, you don't see Christmas in there.
Right.
You don't see Easter in there. Give me some next ones that people celebrate. What other ones?
Kwanzaa.
You don't see Kwanzaa. What's the next big feast in Easter as well? Come up. Go ahead. Halloween. Yeah, you don't see Halloween in there. That's the next big one that everyone's getting ready to celebrate. You're gonna see everyone, like in all the shops, when you look, they got the Halloween theme. Even when you go in Poundland, they got some Halloween theme on the self checkout. And have you heard it? Some Halloween theme on the self checkout. I know that nonsense. They got all the pumpkins and everything. Go ahead. No, you see all those. You don't find those here, which means what? Those ain't the Lord's feast.
That's right.
So if it was the Lord's feast, it would be here. So when you see people claiming, oh, they believe in God, but then they're getting ready to celebrate Halloween and Christmas, tell them, where is it in the Lord's feast? Go ahead.
Verse 3, 6 days shall work be done.
So it says 6 days shall work be done. Go ahead.
But the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest.
And the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. Now people like to misinterpret what the Sabbath is. It says 6 days what?
Shall work be done.
Now 6 days shall work be done is what? Talking about your job. Talking about what? Talking about your occupation. That's what work is. Work is your occupation. I mean, if someone said to you, just in a general convo, oh, so what do you do for work? You ain't gonna say, oh, I turn on the microwave, I put on the cooker. Because a lot of people think that you can't put on the cooker on the Sabbath and you can't turn on the microwave. That's not work. What work is, according to what work is right here, is what you do as a job. Same like when someone asks you today, so what do you do for work? Your work is your occupation, your slavery. That's what work is. Go ahead.
But the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest.
The 7th day, the Sabbath of rest. And then what do they call your days off from work? They call it a rest day. So you work for 6 days and then you have a rest day. But nowadays, what do you do now? You work for 5 days and you have 2 rest days a week. So it's the same thing. It's talking about your occupation. Now, on your rest day from work, does that mean what? You can't put on the microwave. You can't go watch a movie. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's not talking about that. Your rest day is talking about this is your day to have a rest from your slavery. Your day to have a rest from your occupation, which is work. So if you're a mechanic, you would have been a mechanic for 6 days. And then on that 7th day, you're not going to be fixing no cars because it's a rest day. It's your day off from fixing cars. Go ahead.
And holy convocation.
And the holy convocation, which is the Sabbath, which is what? Friday, sundown. Go ahead.
Ye shall do no work therein.
It says ye shall do no work therein. So you ain't supposed to be doing your slavery on the Sabbath. Obviously we're in slavery right now, but back when we was ruled by ourselves and you was a man in authority and in a position, you couldn't make someone work on the Sabbath because this is their rest day off. Go ahead. You see how today, how it's against the law at work, where it's against the law for you to work a certain amount of days in a row. They have to give you what? Sometimes legally you take what, 2 rest days?
I think it's half an hour, 6 hours.
Is it half an hour every 6 days?
6 hours, 6 hours.
Well, the Lord's law is what? You can only work for 6 days and you rest on the 7th.
You need 2 days out of 7 though.
Yeah, whereas with your slavery, you need what? You work for 5, and by law, they have to give you 2 rest days. And the Lord's law is what? You have to have a rest day, man, which falls on what? Friday, sundown. Go ahead.
It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
In all your dwellings. So no matter where you are, Spain, Brazil, Jamaica, Trinidad, no matter where you are, in all your dwellings. So everywhere where you are, go ahead.
These are the feasts of the Lord.
These are the feasts of the Lord. So in all your dwellings, these are the feasts of the Lord. So wherever you go, we have to keep the Lord's feast, man. Go ahead.
Even holy convocations.
Even separate convocations, man, because that's what the word holy means. Go ahead.
You shall proclaim in their seasons.
And you shall proclaim them in their seasons. Go ahead.
For in the 14th day of the first month is the Most High's Passover.
So the 14th day of the first month is the Lord's Passover, man. And that falls what? April 9th. So this year it is April 9th, and it lands on a Thursday this year. It's a Thursday. April 9th is a Thursday this year. So like I say that again. It's a lucky next year. So April 9th next year. So also everybody should be what? Saving their money towards that. When we booking it by? When we need it by? January. We need that book by January, so we can get all the rooms we need and get everybody on the flight. Like last year, everybody was what? Everybody was a bit late with it. So because everyone was late, the price went up. Because everybody was what? Black people's timing. The price went up. It went up to what? We could have got it for, was it like 400? We could have got it for. We could have got it for 400. Because we tarried and had to wait for everyone. Everyone cost me an extra £200. I'm still waiting to be reimbursed for all of that and whatnot. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread.
So then the 14th day of the first month is what? Where the Lord's Passover. And then the 15th day is what? The feast of unleavened bread. Because when we was in Egypt, we had to what? Eat the Passover in haste. And we had kneading shows, but we didn't get to make our bread properly because there was no time. So they had what? Bread which didn't rise because they didn't get to bake it. So we have to do that as a memorial for when we was leaving Egypt. So that's why we do the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So unleavened bread is what? Nothing with no yeast in it, nothing with no raisin agents in. There's some next names. What's the next names of it? Bicarbonate soda, things with all of those things in there. So you have to look at all the ingredients of everything you have, because they'll put things in there under other names. But for 7 days, obviously nothing like that. Go ahead.
7 days, you must eat unleavened bread.
So for 7 days, you have to eat unleavened bread, even if it's just a little piece. You have to eat unleavened bread for 7 days. Go ahead.
Verse 7, in the first day, you shall have an holy convocation.
And in the first day is a holy convocation, a gathering, a get-together. Go ahead.
You shall do no servile work therein.
Go ahead. 7.
Yeah, go ahead. I might never stand. It's like a young at the back. Come to the front a second. Just come here. Put your hands to the side. What's your name, sorry? Second. Say Caius. Ban Banyamin. Ban Yashala. Caius. Ban Banyamin. Ban Yashala.
So the reason we do that is the brother comes up and presents his ancestry, and then we repeat after him as to say we believe who he says he is. So that's how we do in our customs. So we call you up here, and you come up here, and each male reads 7 verses. So that's why we call the brother up, because in our culture that's how we do it. You call the brother up, he presents his ancestry, and then from there, if we believe who he says he is, he comes up and then reads, and then we can be seated.
Leviticus 23 and 8 in the Hebrew.
So now the brother's going to read Leviticus chapter 23 and 8 in the Hebrew. All right, no sir. Go ahead.
Waha Kwarabah Asha La Yahweh Shabbai Yamayam Baya 1 Hasha Baya Makwa Kodash Hal Alahayas Aiba La'a Sa'ai Shua. Verse 9. Wayadabar Yahweh Al Mashah La'ama. Verse 10. Dabar Al Banya Yasha'ala Wa Amara Alahayim Kaya Dabar Wa Tabawa Al Ha'arataza Asha Anya Nathawa Lakam Wa Quatazar Ratham Athar Quatazar Yara Waha Ba'ama Af Aimar Ra'a Shawat Quatazar Rakam Al Ha-Kahan. Verse 11. Wa'a Naya Af Ha'aimar La Panya Yahweh La Ratazar Nakam Mamak Rath Hashabah, Yanaya, Panwa, Haka, verse 12. Wa'ai, Shaya, is Bayawam, Hanaya, Af, Ha'aima, Kana, Thamayam, Kan, Shanya, La'ai, La'a, La Yahweh, verse 13. Wama, Nak, Tawa, Shanya, Aisha, Nayam, Salah, Bala, Wala, Basha, Mawa, Asha, La Yahweh, Rayak, Naya, Kaka, Wana, Sapa, Yayan, Rabah, Tha, Ha, Hayawan, verse 14. Wala, Kam, Wakwa, Laya, Waka, Mala, La'a, Tha'a, Kalawa, Itazayam, Haya, Yawam, Hazaha, Aid, Haba, Yakam, Af, Hara, Bawa, Alahayakam, Kwa, Ka, Ka, Kwa, Wa'ailam, La Da, Fayakam, Bakal, Masha, Nathayakam.
And then if you could read Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 8 in the English.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 8. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days.
So this is when we used to do what? Sacrifices, but we don't do those no more because what? YAHWH came and died for us. So we no longer do those sacrifices because he was our sacrifice. Go ahead.
In the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you.
So it says, when you come into the land which I give unto you. Now, this was before we got in the land. This one was in the wilderness. Go ahead.
And shall reap the harvest thereof. Then ye shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And ye shall wave the sheaf before the
So you'll
Lord.
bring what? Your first fruits and so forth to the priest. Go ahead.
And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. And ye shall offer that day when ye wave the sheaf, and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yahweh. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yahweh for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of an hin. And ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout all your generations and all your dwellings.
So lucky, one second, Captain Mashak, just 1 second. For time's sake, we're gonna read it in the English. Who we call up next? Give me a second. We're gonna just finish it off in the English. Yeah. So like I say that again. Yeah, no sir. Just keep reading. We're gonna finish it off in English for time's sake.
Verse 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, even Sabbath shall be complete.
So 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Go ahead.
7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days.
Number 50 days, and that's why what in the New Testament it calls it what? The Feast of Pentecost. That's what it calls it that, because it gets it from here, which lets you know Peter and all of them was following the Old Testament. So all of this, the Old Testament is done away with, is a lie. Peter and them was following it. And that's why in the New Testament they called it the Feast of Pentecost, because Pente means 50. So this is where they got it from. Go ahead.
And ye shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahweh. Ye shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2/10 deals. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baken with leaven.
So this is what we used to do. We used to bring out all these things, and we used to give all these things to the priest to sacrifice. Go ahead.
They are the first fruits unto Yahweh.
And the first fruits means your best, basically. Go ahead.
And ye shall offer with them the bread You shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, and 1 young bullock and 2 rams. They shall be for a burnt offering unto Yahweh, with their meat offering and their drink offerings, even an offering made by the fire of sweet savor unto Yahweh. Then ye shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the first year.
So that's what we used to do. We used to what? Offer sin offerings and so forth. We don't do that no more because, like we said, Christ died for us, so we no longer do those animal sacrifices. Go ahead.
And 2 lambs of the first year for a sacrifice of peace offering. And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before Yahweh. With the 2 lambs, they shall be holy to Yahweh for the priest.
Go ahead.
And ye shall.
And then you would give these things to the priests. Go ahead, because people think what? People think God actually eats these burnt offerings. It don't work like that. The lambs and stuff you would offer would go to the priests. That was their portion. Go ahead.
And ye shall proclaim on the selfsame day that it may be an holy convocation unto you.
And that's another feast day, holy convocation unto you. Go ahead.
Ye shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field.
So now, when you'd reap the harvest of your land, meaning what? When it was ripe and you would take everything, you couldn't take everything. You couldn't just leave it empty, because what? You have to leave some for the poor of your people, because not everyone is fortunate like you. So you have to leave some of them. So as the poor's passing by, the poor of your people's passing by, they can come and take some and eat and whatnot. Go ahead.
When thou reapest, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field.
Meaning what? You ain't supposed to clean up the field, the ones that drop on the floor. You're coming to pick up every last one. Go ahead.
When thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest. Thou shalt leave them unto the poor.
So you leave them to the poor and to the stranger. Now the stranger is who? The stranger is an Israelite who's just from another land, who you don't know. Like a stranger would be what? If a brother walked in from Mexico in here, he would be a stranger to us because he's not from our land and we don't know, but he's still our brother. That's who the strangers is. The strangers ain't talking about some next nation. The strangers is talking about your own people. You leave some for them as well. Because, and this is deep, obviously, most of us are strangers to one another, and the way we treat each other, the Bible tells us how we're meant to deal with brothers that we don't know and strangers and whatnot. Whereas if you're like, especially in Birmingham, if you're a man from Handsworth and you go to Newtown, you're a stranger to Newtown. So what happens? The one that attack you because of where you're from, the Lord's saying you're not supposed to do that. He's a stranger from another land, but he's still your brother, and you take care of him also. That's what he's saying. Go ahead.
I am Yahweh your God. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, and a memorial of blowing of trumpets.
And a memorial of blowing of trumpets. That one's gone. We done that. When was that? About 2 weeks ago? About 2 weeks ago, roughly. Go ahead.
And holy convocation.
And that's the feast of the Lord also. Go ahead.
Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement.
And a day of atonement, we done that one also. Day of atonement is what, where you don't eat or drink, nothing. That's how you afflict your soul. Now to afflict your soul, that's how you afflict your soul. No food or drink for 24 hours, from even to even, like it says in the Bible. Go ahead.
It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you.
And atonement means what? To be at peace, to be at one. You make an atonement for your soul, meaning what? The wrong you've basically, this don't cover for what? You knowing something's wrong and still doing it. This is for all the what? Things you've done ignorantly. That's what this is. It's not for you knowing it's wrong to what? Do something and then still go and do it. It don't cover for things like that. Go ahead.
For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people.
So back then, if you that person that didn't afflict their soul, that ate and drank on that day and just continued living life, doing whatever they wanted on that day, that was cut off from among their people. And this is why when you get to the New Testament and it talks about Gentiles in the New Testament, the Gentiles in the New Testament is what? Israelites that was cut off at a time and that had lost their culture and that was doing what the rest of the world do and that weren't keeping the laws. they was considered the Gentiles in the New Testament. So Christ died so that they could come back. Because if Christ didn't die, all of us would be cut off, because we broke many Day of Atonements, because we ain't been keeping these from the time we was born. We ain't been keeping these from the time we was born. So Christ died so that once we find out the truth, we could come back and have a second chance. Go ahead.
And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people.
And that's how serious the Lord takes it. Go ahead.
Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever.
And this shall be a statute forever. So all these things you see, which says forever, which means in the kingdom you're going to be keeping these feast days also. Go ahead.
Throughout your generations, in all your dwellings.
Throughout your generations, in all your dwellings, no matter where you are, throughout all your generations. Go ahead.
It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even. From even unto even, ye shall celebrate your Sabbath.
Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles.
And this is what we're in now. Now the Feast of Tabernacles, it started when? Last week. So it started last Saturday. It lasts for 8 days, and today this is the closing of it, basically. Go ahead.
For 7 days unto Yahweh.
And then because there was a time when we came out of Egypt, we dwelled in booths for 8 days and whatnot. So this is like a memorial of remembrance what our ancestors went through. Now we don't need to dwell in tents right now. We don't need to dwell in tents right now because it's more of a memorial. Same like the Passover back then in the law, Exodus 12, it tells you the Passover you would what? Put on your girdle and you'd eat the food in haste with your staff, because what you're getting ready to leave Egypt. So now you don't need to do it like that. Now you don't need to eat in haste because what? We're not leaving Egypt. So it's more of a memorial. Same like this one now is more of a memorial. So you don't need to sleep in a tent somewhere for 8 days. Go ahead.
On the first day shall be an holy convocation.
It says the first day of it shall be a holy convocation, which was last Saturday. That was. Go ahead.
Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto
and
you.
On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation, which is now. So this is the one on the 8th day. So there's one at the start of it, and there's one at the end of it. And also we got what? Another memorial. It's not a feast day, but it's a memorial, and it's biblical. We got Hanukkah coming up, what? December 20th, which lands on a Friday, December 20th. So we're going to be doing that here at the school. That's the next one, which is coming up. Then after that one, we got Purim. But for now, we got, Hanukkah, December 20th. Go ahead.
On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall make an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. These are the feasts.
And servile work means what? To basically your slavery, working, job, so forth. Go ahead.
These are the feasts of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations.
And these are the feasts of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. So the same way everybody out there in the world comes together on Christmas, we should be coming together on the Lord's feast days, man. That's how we should be coming together. I mean, them out there in the world, they do it when it's Christmas, Easter. Some long lost family that they ain't seen sends what gifts and cards and whatnot. So it's only right that we treat the Lord's feast days way better than those, because the Lord actually wants us to keep these things. So we should treat these way better than they do Christmas, way better than they do Easter. And with that, for time's sake, we're going to do the prayers and wrap up the class. All right, this is the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abba Nawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kadash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakavka, Baba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratazak, Kawar, Hayah, Hashemayim, Nefanda Nawa, Nakam, Cow, Yawam, Wasalaki Nawa, Kabawafi Nawa, Wasalaki Nawa, Kabawafi Nawa, Wala'ah, Fabi Ainawa, Vanasa One, Bon, Abashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Waha'ara, Waha'alamium, Amen.
I was Our Father,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy
Thy
name.
kingdom come.
Thy kingdom
Thy
come.
will be done.
Thy will be done
In
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day
our daily bread.
our daily
And
bread,
forgive us our debts.
and forgive us our debts
As we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors,
And lead us not
and lead us not
into temptation,
into temptation,
but deliver us
but deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and
the glory, forever.
forever.
So be.
So be it. And the Hakar, the power in the Hebrew, Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'Shem Yahushai,
Ba'Shem Yahushai,
Baba Kushah,
Baba Kushah,
Mafalinawa,
Mafalinawa,
Maka,
Haka,
Haka, Lara Pa'a,
Lara Pa'a,
Kal Makala,
Kal Makala,
Bukal Madawa,
Bukal Madawa,
Haka,
Haka,
Lataha,
Lataha,
Hamatazarayim,
Hamatazarayim,
Haka,
Haka,
Lahakuyam,
Lahakuyam,
Hamafiam,
Hamafiam,
Haka,
Haka,
Al-Rikawaf,
Al-Rikawa,
Hatama Allah,
Atama Allah,
Lagarishan,
Lagarishan,
Ba'Shem,
Ba'Shem,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
Tawala,
Tawala, Amen. And in the English, Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahushai.
In the name of Yahushai,
Please give us the
please give us the
power to heal,
power to heal
all manner of sickness,
all manner of sickness,
and all manner of disease,
all manner of disease,
and the power to cleanse the lepers,
the power to cleanse the lepers,
the power to raise the dead,
the power to raise the dead,
power against unclean spirits,
the power against unclean spirits,
to cast them out,
in
in the name of Yahushai.
the name of Yahushai.
Thank you. So be it.
So be it. And this is the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatha Yahweh,
Barakatha Yahweh,
Wa Yahushai,
Wa Yahushai,
Wa Mayaka Allah,
Wa Mayaka
Wa
Allah,
Alahayim,
Wa Alahayim,
Tazabi Ya'ah,
Tazabi
Allah Wapihanna,
Allah,
Ha Allah Wapian,
Allah,
Ha Saranyam,
Hasaranya,
Ha Kutazayanyam, Ha Liyalyam,
Yalim,
Wa Akwafian,
Wa Akwafian,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'Shem,
Ba'Shem,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
Tawala,
Tawala,
Amen.
and in the English, bless you, Yahweh,
Bless you, Yahweh,
and Yahushai,
and Yahushai,
and Michael,
and Michael,
and the angels, commanding General YAHANNA, the generals,
the generals,
the captains,
the
officers,
officers,
and the troopers,
and the troopers,
and the sisters,
and the sisters,
Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai,
in the name of Yahushai.
Thank you, so be it.
So be it. This is Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Al-Hahayam, Ma'ayan, Yaba'ah, Isaiah, Ma'aim, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'aratazah, Al-Yafan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shemaka, Anam, La'ah, Yanawam, Wala'ah, Yayashan, Shawamah, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shemaka, Yahweh, Zalka, Al-Yad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'ah, Yakaka, Wayara, Bala Yallah, Yahweh, Yashamaka, Makal Rai, Yashama, Afna Pashka, Yahweh, Yashama, Taza Afka, Baba Wa'aka, Ma'aifa, Wa'aid, Irelam.
I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He would not offer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel, shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is the shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out, and thy coming in, from this time forth, and even forevermore. So be it.
Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahayam, Al, the Malaka, Alpha Karash,
Alpha Karash,
Wa'al,
Wa'al,
Pashakwat,
Tashakwat,
Al, Kayahana,
Kayahana,
Awad Yabyaka,
Awab Yaka,
Yahama,
Yahama,
Yawan,
Yawan,
Ra'ash,
Ra'ash,
Imaka,
Imaka,
Ya'ir Yamwa,
Ira Yamwa,
Sawada,
Sawada,
Wayafa,
Wayata,
Aitazawa,
Wayatazawa,
Al Tazapawanyaka,
Al-Tazapuanka,
Amawa,
Amawa,
Akawa,
Kawa,
Wanakakadam,
Kakidam,
Magaya,
Nugaya,
Wala'a, Yazaka,
Yazaka,
Sham Yasha'ala,
Sham Yasha'ala,
Ayuda,
Wada,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Nawa Aitazawa,
Nawa Aitazawa,
Ba,
the Bar,
Yaka Adwa,
Yaka Adwa,
Alika,
Al-Yaka,
Ba Yaf,
Waya,
Yaka Rakwa,
Yaka Rafwa,
Ahalia,
Ahalia,
Adawam,
Adawan,
Wa Yashamai,
Yashimai,
Alayam,
Alayam,
Mawa Abba,
Mawa'aba,
Wahagayam,
Wahagayam,
Wabo,
Go,
Wa'aimawan,
Wa'aimawan,
Aimalak,
Wa'aimalak,
Palashaf,
Palashaf,
Amya Shabya,
Mishabya,
Tazawo,
Tazawa,
Dom Ashawo,
Gom Ashawa,
Nalawa,
Alawa,
Imam,
Aiman,
Hayawa,
Ayawa,
Zarawai,
Zarawai,
Banya Lawa,
Zabanya Lawa,
Salah,
Salah,
Aishalaham,
Aishalaham,
Madyan,
Madyan,
Kasaya,
Kasaya,
Sarah,
Sarah,
Kayabyan,
Kayabyan,
Banakal,
Banakal,
Payash,
Payash,
Wan,
Wan,
Nashamadwa,
Nashamadwa,
Ma'ayan,
Ba'ayan,
La'ara,
Ira,
Hayawa,
Ayawa,
Daman,
Daman,
La'adama,
Adama,
Shayafamwa,
Shayathamwa,
Nada,
Kaga,
Yap,
Yap,
Mawa,
Mawa,
Ka'irab,
Ka'ira,
Wakaza Abba,
Wakaza Abba,
Wakaza Bak,
Wakaza Bak,
Wakatazal,
Wakatazal,
Manai,
Manai,
Kal,
Kal,
Nasa Yakamwa,
Nasaya Kamwa,
Shah,
Shah,
Amawa,
Amawa,
Nayar Shah,
Nayar Shah,
Lanawa,
Lalawa,
Af,
Af,
Na'awaf,
Na'awaf,
Alahayam,
Alahaya,
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 Shayafamwa,
Shayathamwa,
Kagalgala,
Kagalgala,
Kakwash,
Kakwash,
Lapanya Raka,
Lapanya Raka,
Ka'ash,
Ash,
Baba Ira,
Baba Ira, Ira,
Wa,
Wa,
Kalahaba,
Kalahaba,
Falahat,
Falahat,
Arayam,
Ariyam,
Khan,
Khan,
Faradatma,
Faradatma,
Basa Irika,
Basa Irika,
Babasa,
Wabasa,
Wapafka,
Wapafka,
Baba Halam,
Baba
Bala'a,
Bala'a,
Panyaham,
Kwanyaham,
Palawan,
Palawan,
Waya,
Waya,
Wakwashwa,
Wapashwa,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Yabashwa,
Nabashwa,
Waya,
Waya,
Bahalwa,
Bahalwa,
Aida,
Aida,
Waya,
Waya,
Kapawa,
Kapawa,
Waya,
Waya,
Abadwa,
Abadwa,
Waya,
Waya,
Ira,
the Ira,
Kaya Afa,
Kaya,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
the Badka,
the Vodka,
Al Yuwan,
Ayuwan,
Al Kaha,
Alkaha,
Aratiza,
Aratiza,
Alman.
Aman. And in the English, keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
For lo, thy enemies,
Thy enemies
make almost,
make us tumult.
and they that hate thee, have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel. Against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel, may be no more in remembrance. They have consulted together. With one consent. They are confederate against thee. The Tabernacles of Edom. And the Ishmaelites. Of Moab. And the Hagarenes. Gabal and Ammon. And Amalek. The Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also is joined with them. They have opened the children of Lot. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, as the brook of Kison, which perished the Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Horeb.
Make their nobles like Horeb.
And like Zayeb.
And like Zayeb.
Yea. All the princes as Zabar.
All the princes of Zabar.
And as Zalmunah.
And as Zalmunah.
You said, let us take to ourselves.
Let us take to ourselves
the houses of God in possession.
The houses of God in possession.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Make them like a wheel.
Make them like a wheel.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the fire burner for wood.
As the fire burner for wood.
And as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
As the flames set the mountains on fire.
So persecute them.
So persecute them.
With thy tempest.
With thy tempest.
And make them afraid.
And make them afraid.
With thy storm.
With thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame.
That they may seek thy name, O Yahweh.
That they may seek thy name, O Yahweh.
Let them be confounded.
Let them be confounded.
And troubled forever.
And troubled forever.
Yea.
Yea.
Let them be put to shame.
Let them be put to shame.
And perish.
And perish.
That men may know.
That men may know.
That thou. The name alone is Yahweh.
Whose name alone is Yahweh.
Of the Most High.
Of the Most High.
Over all the earth.
Over all the earth.
So be
it.
So be it. And the curse is, blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are you, Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth.
And all things giving.
And all things living.
Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishments and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
Unto the heathens.
Unto the heathens.
That speak against us.
That speak against us.
Thy prophets.
Thy prophets.
The teachers.
The teachers.
The princes.
The princes.
The priests.
The priests.
The Israelite brothers.
The Israelite brothers.
And the school.
And the school.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishments and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
Unto the heathens.
Unto the heathens.
And shake loose.
And shake loose.
The treasures.
The treasures.
Of the rich of Israel.
Of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to give to the school.
That refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches.
Force their riches.
To enter into thy sanctuary.
To enter into thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
Unto the Edomites.
Unto the Edomites.
And the Asians.
And the nations.
And the drug dealers.
And the drug dealers.
The court system. The prison system.
The prison system.
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood.
All the governments of our enemies.
All the governments of our enemies.
Amalek's synagogues and armies.
Amalek's synagogues and armies.
Roman Catholic Church.
Roman Catholic Church.
The Pope.
The Pope.
Islam. Christianity. Egyptology. Militia. Ku Klux Klan. Aryan Asian. Skinheads. The Posse Comitazi. The gay movement. The lesbian movement. Spies. Workers of witchcraft. NASA space programs. Army. Navy. Air Force. Marine. Wall Street. Open up the internet. And the airways. Cable access. Channels. And the radio channels. Convict the spirit. Of any of thy people. That seek to stop us. And bring swift destruction. To all the heathens that stand in the way. And try to stop us. From broadcasting your words. Throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues. Cause them to go to and fro. Through the earth and consume them. Let the plagues shake the house of the thief. And the murderer. Let Yahweh Shai. Michael and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers. And punish all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all. That is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread throughout the India, throughout the whole world, cause them to shake at thy coming in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you always. So be it.
And this is the blessing to bless Israel. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahweh Shai, Barak Kanawa,
Barak Kanawa,
Yasha'ala,
Yasha'ala,
Wahabaya,
Wahabaya,
Sapariam,
Sapariam,
Barak,
Barak,
Rapah,
Rapah,
Magan,
Magan,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh Shai,
Bawade.
Bawade.
What we just said was, this is in English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you, so be it.
Teachers, men of Israel, and Malik Shubat, and Madian, Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah,
Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Barakafam,
Yajamata, and Sar, return, one case, two sisters, the men of Israel, and Malik Shubat, and Madian, Barak, Yahweh Shema Alatah Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Yajamata, class dismissed. That's what, yeah?
One second, I'll tell you. Sorry.
I'm gonna be everyone's kids today, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead.